Once again, thank you to all of our sponsors for making this possible. And tomorrow and Thursday, we'll have lots of opportunities to connect with them. So make sure you stop by and say hello. So I am Kylie from Northern Michigan University. And today we are going to be talking about alumni trends, some things going on in the industry, and sharing some challenges and some wins, right? So a couple quick housekeeping items. Please hold your questions till the end. I'll open it up to questions and run around with a mic for anybody who wants to ask anything or anything you want expanded upon that you heard. We may not get to every question, but we do have lots of opportunities to connect. So make sure if you have questions and we didn't get to them, come find somebody or find the people that you talked to earlier and expand on what you learned. This session is being recorded and will be posted on the CAMP website after the conference. So with that, let's get started. So first, I'm gonna just give a little introduction and then let each one of them talk a little bit about themselves before we get into the discussion. So I'll start with Sarah Craw, the Assistant Director of Alumni Relations at the Northern Iowa Alumni Association. I'll toss it over to you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Check. A little bit? Okay. My name is Sarah Craw. I'm with the University. No?
Hello.
Hey. Okay, Sarah Craw from the University of Northern Iowa, 4.5 hours from here in the heart of the real corn country. Our institution is about 125 alumni deep, 129 maybe from this last group. Our current enrollment's just under 10,000. And I do more alumni engagement than anything in my job.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. And then Lacey McKinnon, the Director of Strategic and Alumni Services at the University of Arkansas. Lacey.
Hello, I am a graduate of the University of Arkansas, and I run our team that manages all of the marketing and communications for the Alumni Association, as well as member experience, so the benefit side of membership. We have about 188 living alumni and a student population that is exploding annually. I think we're up to 35,000 this year.
And Melissa Smith, the Director of Alumni Marketing and Special Events at the University of Tennessee. Melissa.
It's nice to be here. I have been at the University of Tennessee for about 13 years now. My first 2 years, I worked for our Knoxville campus, and now I currently work for our system-wide alumni association. So if you're not familiar with the University of Tennessee, we have 5 campuses. We have multiple institutes. All of our campuses have their own branding. And at the system-wide alumni association level, our team of 5 provides benefits, services, and programs to all 500,000 alumni across the UT system.
Thank you all so much. So we're going to get started with a few questions for each of you and then dive into individual areas of expertise. So this first question is for everyone to answer. So Sarah, I'll start with you. In one word, how would you describe the current state of alumni relations?
I couldn't come up with one word, so bear with me. Active pursuit is really what I came up with as I tried to put some thought around this. I feel like what we're all doing is seeking to make meaning from our university to our alums. We're trying to make meaning for ourselves and the lives of our alums and our students. I don't know a better word for that than just this active pursuit of meaning making and connection for all of the constituents that we serve.
The word I came up with was relevant. I do think we have to earn our relevance every day. We're competing for time and attention and philanthropy, and not just in our communities, but on campus for many of us. I know we're competing with colleges, we're competing with athletics, and so we have to be really mindful and not just try to communicate more, but to communicate really intentionally the impact that we're making. I kind of look at it as our job is to demonstrate why the University of Arkansas still matters after they graduate.
And funny enough, my word was intentional. Working at the system level, I've had the chance to really have an opportunity to see all the different approaches that all of our campuses take to engagement. And one thing is really clear, and that's that there is no one-size-fits-all approach. Our alumni all have different interests. They're at different life stages, and they just have different ways that they want to stay connected. So for us, it makes our work much more intentional. We can't just send the same email to everybody and assume that all of our alumni want the same experience. So for us, the biggest shift has been stopping asking, how do we get our alumni to engage with us, and asking, how do we create opportunities that fit in their lives instead?
What's one trend that you're most excited about and one trend that concerns you? I'll start with you, Sarah.
Yeah, I'm excited about our switch and our focus on data and how data has helped inform the decisions that we're making as we think about segmentation and how to get the right information in front of everybody to be the most efficient. We're in the middle of a CRM conversion, and we're just so excited about when we get through this, the data we will have to be able to help inform our decisions. I think, to me, coming from a background of student and young alumni engagement, though, a thing that scares me is when institutions talk about moving resources away from students and student engagement from their advancement or alumni or foundation shop. I'm in another listserv, not CAMP. This one's the best. And they said, we're not doing students anymore. They just don't matter. And I fundamentally disagree. And I hope everybody in this room is in that same boat. Like, we can't not think about the people who will become our future stakeholders. We can't not teach them about what it is that we do and build relevance. We can't not teach them about what the institution does for generations. So it scares me that there are institutions out there that are not putting resources towards students.
So one trend I'm really excited about is I see, whether we are membership model or not, I see alumni associations moving away from language that focuses on transactional relationship and more towards connection and belonging and those types of conversations. One thing I'm sort of concerned about is always just fragmented attention. As I mentioned earlier, I feel like we are competing with so many people out there. There are lots of worthy causes. There are lots of great things going on our campus. But I don't want us cannibalizing ourselves. I think the biggest question we sort of try to ask ourselves all the time is, rather than how do we get our alumni's attention, what are we doing to deserve their attention?
I'm really excited about automation and technology. So at UT, we've got our own internal AI platform called UTverse. And I find myself using UTverse almost every single day. Since it's secured with our data, I'm able to really use that information and uncover patterns in our alumni data and really identify opportunities for us to be more personalized with our alums. We serve 500,000 alumni across the system, and we only have a team of 5. So tools like UTverse have really helped me work a lot smarter and not harder. I would say the thing that concerns me the most is the uncertainty around how institutions are engaging intentional communities and affinity groups. One of my favorite parts of my job is managing our Alliance of Women Philanthropists organization. And I've been able to see firsthand how those shared experiences really build community. My hope is that regardless of how that landscape changes, that we still are able to find meaningful ways to foster connections and to make sure that all of our alumni feel like they belong.
Wonderful. Thank you. Lisi, this question's for you. Are institutions moving away from measuring attendance and toward measuring relationships? And if so, how?
Well, I hope I hope we're moving away from counting people and moving towards measuring impact. Our attendance at events are important. Obviously, that's how we engage with our alumni, but it can't be our only goal. You have to ask what engagement leads to. Is it leading to more giving, more volunteering, more attendance for future events? It's really looking at how we're building those long-term relationships. Again, it's not transactional, it's relational. I just hope we're moving from counting towards more measurement and meaningful measurement. What we do.
Melissa, speaking of meaningful, what does meaningful alumni engagement look like in 2026?
I think just like Lizzie said, it's all about relationships and not just participation. So we, for the longest time, measured success by people that attended events, the number of people who opened an email and made a gift. And today we're placing a lot more value on the small and consistent ways that our alumni are showing up to support our university. So we've started really thinking about engagement as a menu of opportunities for our alumni. Engagement for us might have our alumni downloading a digital alumni card or using an alumni discount or speaking at a webinar, mentoring through our UT Connect platform. And those are all meaningful touch points that we just weren't collecting earlier, that I'm really excited that we're able to tie back to really connect our alums' affinity to their university and the small touch points that they're having with us. Across the UT system, we're working right now to refine our engagement scoring and really incorporating more of those digital touch points that we weren't tracking before.
Sarah, how are you engaging alumni who may never attend an event or make a gift?
I think for us, the first thing is it's important not to think of them as never givers, never members. It's a not yet. We just have not created enough relevance and value in their life for them to become or do the thing that we want them to do. So that switch of mindset for us was really important. For us, it's about creating a menu of opportunities that meets people where they are or meets them with the value that they need. It's casting a wide enough net to engage a variety of people. One of the things that we've done since COVID was a really hard pivot away from virtual and hybrid, only to completely restep that. Like, we've learned that there are people all across the country who are never going to come back to Cedar Falls, Iowa. That's fine. What are we doing for them? What options are we creating for them? So our pivot back towards doing a little bit more virtual programming has been overwhelmingly successful for us. So last year from Maryland, shout out to Maryland's crew here in the room, we stole their summer reading program. And we've been able to find so much success in our summer reading program. 1,200 people signed up. So that's 1,200 people who gave us brand new information. We're mailing something to their house, so we know we've got a good email or a mailing address. We've got a good email address for them. We're confirming that we can reach these people. We started a virtual 5K. Like they're just buying a shirt and running on their own time. Like, there's really nothing to this, but it's more people opting into a thing that is meaningful to them. So we're just casting a wide enough net to capture people exactly where they are.
Lisi, how are you using data to personalize your communications?
Well, right now we're working on creating some audience personas. We've spent a lot of time communicating based on affinity groups, age groups, usually traditional demographics to create audience segments. But recently I've started to see, like, there's no through line to success. And so I want to figure out who our alumni are. I'm working on a master's thesis too, so I'm doing some qualitative research there, but what we're working on is pulling together basically 10 data sets. We do not have an engagement score at the University of Arkansas, so we have all of the material and the data we need to create an engagement score, but it just hasn't been a priority for our leadership. So I think that's going to end up being part of this at the end, but we're pulling giving data, we're pulling volunteer data, we're pulling event attendance and registration both. All these things to pull together what I think will be a 10 to 12 personas. For example, proud ambassador. This is an executive who lives in Dallas, life member of the Arkansas Alumni Association, probably never comes back to Fayetteville except for a football game weekend, but they support the U of A pretty consistently. That person needs different messaging than our engineering grad in Houston who worked on the Artemis rocket. So, we've got people who might be living in the same state or the same city, but they need different messaging. So we're trying to understand better, not just who our alumni are, but why they engage. So, things like their motivations. We are just pulling all the data we can to create. It's a giant worksheet or a workbook with 10 worksheets, and I'm just going to send it straight on through AI to figure out what we've got there. And then based on that, maybe suggest some metrics for engagement score.
Melissa, what marketing channels are delivering the strongest results for alumni engagement today?
I don't think that there's one marketing channel that's outperforming all the others. I think the strongest results really come from using the right channel for the right audience with the right message. email for us is still one of our most effective tools. And one thing that we've learned is that personalization means more than just the platform that we're using. For years, we sent one quarterly email, our marketing email that we do quarterly, to all of our alumni, and it was the same message to everybody. And we tried doing a few segments by campus and trying to incorporate campus branding. We didn't see any change. One thing that we've started doing, though, is really making the shift to segmenting by life stage instead. And I mean, recent graduates don't need the same messaging as somebody that's coming back and celebrating their golden graduate 50th reunion. So once we really started tailoring our content to where our alumni are in their life, we saw a really significant increase in our engagement. So for us, it's more about creating communications that feel relevant to the right audience at the right time.
Sarah, what storytelling approaches are helping alumni feel connected to the institution?
So we've really been focusing on helping alums and students tell their story. Like that's what people want to see when they're coming to our page. They want to see how a thing we've done, how something the university or something Alumni and Foundation has done has impacted a student and what the student has to say about that. They want to see their friends. They want to see somebody they haven't connected with in 10 or 20 years, telling the story about the alumni-owned business that they started. So we really start with finding those alumni and student stories of success and impact and putting those first. In my theme of throwing it back to COVID and pre-COVID times, we've started just asking dumb questions, and they're not all dumb, asking questions on our Facebook again, and we're getting hundreds of comments on them. It feels like we're a decade in the past here, but we're getting people to tell their stories. They want to tell us how many times they changed their major, and they want to compare stories of changing their major 8 times and landing in a totally different field, because they just want to be heard and they just want to know that their experience wasn't different. They want to tell you exactly how they've bounced and changed careers. A huge portion of our students are education students, and a lot of them stay in the field for a very long time, but a lot of them leave education and want to tell that story about how they ended up doing something completely and totally different after 4 years of an education degree and a couple years as a new grad teacher. So helping them tell their stories, helping them find each other's stories has really been monumental for us.
Great. Lacey, how has your membership model changed in recent years?
Thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
We actually, at the University of Arkansas, just went through really it was a 2-year process of transitioning from a traditional membership model with annual membership, life membership, to a philanthropic model. We modeled it after the University of Kentucky. I know they're here, so I'm going to shout out to them. We adapted it for our alumni base and for our alumni interests. But we removed the annual membership level and replaced it with a philanthropic one. And in addition, we now say that if you graduated from the University of Arkansas, you're a member of the Arkansas Alumni Association, and that is new for us. So that first piece, making everybody that graduates a member, recognizes that alone is a contribution. You know, finishing your degree, enhancing our reputation out in the world with whatever you happen to do, that's worth calling you a member of the association, regardless of whether or not there's been a transaction involved. The philanthropic level was intended to really just be a better partner with with philanthropy across campus. So anyone who gives $50 or more, and we do have a $25 threshold for recent grads, anywhere on campus other than athletics, because they've got their own game going, and then we've got two other places on campus where they have their own memberships, and so a gift there won't count. But anywhere else, if you want to give to your department, if you want to give to a student program or anything else, we recognize that as a membership level. We named it after our founding year, 1871, and it runs through the fiscal year. So if you buy it on July 1st, you're going to get it for 12 months. If you buy it on June 1st, you're going to get it for 30 days. But that's it's an extra level of stewardship for our partners across campus. It was really exciting. We spent the first year educating people. That went over pretty well. People don't really pay attention to things. And then what really, I think, turned the corner for us, we spent an entire year, really 13 months, going out to our annual members who had been really consistent over the previous 10 years. So if you had been a member for 6 of the 10 years or greater, we offered a life membership to you at a steep discount. And we blew through our goals there. And I just want to say that there are 3 people who worked at not just, we killed ourselves for a year doing this. And all 3 of us in the room, I didn't do it alone. And so you can talk to any of us about how we did it. But we blew through our revenue goals and we blew through our membership goals. I think we got, of course, Colin, how many new members? 500 new life members, which was the goal. Like we don't want to have to chase after members anymore. So we found it really successful. It was very exciting, and it created just a much more stronger sense of belonging among our alumni because now everybody is a member.
Great, thank you. Sarah, beyond membership dues, what revenue streams are showing promise for you?
Yeah, so there are lots of people in this room much smarter than me when it comes to sponsorship and affinity and travel programs and revenue programs that you're thinking of. So I wanted this question to be included so I could tell you about a weird unsuspecting win that we've had here at University of Northern Iowa. So we use Give Campus, an event registration platform. We use it for all of our giving days and all of our giving forms as well. And we just decided last year that we were going to start passively asking for gifts through all of our event registrations. We were a little inconsistent to start, but we started including it on anything, game watches, Golden Graduate reunions. They have their own scholarship. We started kind of connecting it to our alumni engagement fund. Sometimes it would be to a department. And even though we were just kind of fumbling around, kind of making decisions willy-nilly, we still brought in $12,000 just passively asking, would you like to add a gift to your event registration? So as we analyze what we're doing, and we're thinking more strategically about exactly what events are going to have registrations and exactly what funds we can connect. We're looking to upgrade those who made gifts in the past. We brought in about 1/3 of those donors as first-time donors. So we're meeting them where they are and just passively asking as they're already getting out their credit card or their Apple Pay or whatever they're doing to give us the $5 for the weird game watch they're going to come to. So if you are using Give Campus, we've talked to Blackthorn, who we're moving to eventually. If the capability exists, start using it because it has just blown our minds how much money is coming in there.
Cool. Lisi, what mistakes do institutions make when trying to engage young alumni?
Well, I think we make a lot, but I think the biggest one is that we have made assumptions about Gen Z and younger millennials. This sort of was brought to light for me several years ago. We had a board of directors meeting, and we do have several more recent grads that serve on our board of directors. And as we were talking, I don't remember what the topic of conversation was, but one of our more seasoned alumni board directors said something about that it was so hard to get our young alumni to engage and give because they're all about what's in it for me. And a lot of the other board directors kind of nodded their head, and one very brave director who was a graduate of class of 2015, she stood up and she said, I could definitely see how you would see that or how you would view it that way, but it isn't really about what's in it for me. It's about what impact is my gift making, what impact is my time making. Whatever I'm giving to the university, I need to know that it's making a meaningful impact. And so I think it's very easy to assume that people are just looking for stuff. They're going to become a life member. They're going to want the stuff that goes with it. But I think framing it more as how they can give back meaningfully and invest in their university is probably a better way for us to approach young alumni.
Melissa, what data points are most valuable for predicting alumni engagement?
For us, it's more about identifying patterns than it is one specific data point. One event registration, one email click just really doesn't tell us much. But when we start connecting all of those small digital touch points connected with all of our event registrations and the alumni that are engaging with our webinars, we're really able to identify patterns over time, and that's where our real insights are starting to come from. It helps us be able to anticipate what our alumni might be interested in next, and helps us react to what they've already done. One opportunity that we're really excited about, since moving to our new CRM, we went from Illusion to Salesforce back in February of 2024. I wish I could say that our data was wonderful and perfect and everything is great. We're still working on it. It's still a work in progress, but we're finally starting to be able to connect those patterns and to build more intentional journeys through Marketing Cloud. And for us, it's just not about one single interaction. It really is the story of how all of those interactions over time tell the relationship that our alumni have with our universities.
Sarah, what surprises you most about how recent graduates want to stay connected?
Yeah, so we spent years beating our heads against a wall trying to get young alums to come to young alumni specific events. And you're nodding along like, oh yeah, we do that too. They weren't coming. We couldn't figure it out. But we started spending way more time on our case metrics, and it turns out they were coming to different things. So when we really dug into it, we couldn't get young alums to come to a young alumni event, but they were our top decade, our gold grads, were our top decade in the engagement bucket in our case metrics. So once we really thought about the fact that they were just consistently showing up, maybe not in droves, they weren't critical mass anywhere, but they were consistently showing up. We started thinking about how we continue to build value for them when they do show up. So we got them in the room, whatever email they clicked or whatever friend told them to come. Once they were there, though, we tried to make sure that they were introduced to our staff, introduced to alums that might be relevant to them, and building value for them in the places they've already found us, instead of trying to scrap them along and make them come do putt-putt with us and eat pizza. Like they didn't care. It's not what they wanted to do. So really trying to build a platform through which they can connect with each other. Instead of us being the center of that relationship, we get them in the room to get them connected to the other people that they find value with and can build community with, and really trying to create value for them alongside of everything else we're already doing, instead of trying to do it separately in their own little world.
Lisi, what role is AI playing in your work today? I know it's a loaded question.
Well, I mean, it's playing a big role. We, unlike many people in this room, we are under-resourced. We have a communications team of really 2.5. We have an admin who's been charged with doing things well outside of her job description, and thankfully she's brilliant and can step up and create emails for me. But we use AI for everything. And while we probably just started having it craft messages and, you know, I'm running social media. I don't need to be doing that, but I am. They're crafting captions that don't sound like they came from a 52-year-old woman, because nobody on Instagram wants to read that. My children have told me. So this is really like we're a team of 3, but so this is like our 4th man. That's actually 4th woman. I'd call her Simone, but she's become a strategic partner. You know, less of a copywriter. It helps me plan meetings. It helps me plan what I'm going to do with my week or my month or my year, or what, you know, how we're going to address something at a retreat. It's going to help develop those personas that I talked about earlier. We use it to pressure test messaging, you know, maybe creating A/B messaging if we're trying to, you know, try something out. It's helped with campaign strategy. It's helping me write SOPs for all of our channels, which we have never had up to this point. And it's helping me sort of put together a communication system, because we need to be able to operate and we need to be able to track and collect everything that we're doing, regardless of the size of our team. And so I'm trying to create something that helps us be sustainable with 2 people or 5 people or 10 people, God willing. But the main thing that I have to say is that I haven't let it replace my judgment. Like, I'm using AI with a really strong prompt. It's coming from me. I don't want it to replace my judgment, but I do need it to help me think. It helps me sequence. It helps me put everything in order, and just come out with a better product altogether.
Melissa, what is one thing that Alumni Association should stop doing?
It's hard to narrow it down to one thing, especially for us. I think, to tie back to what Sarah said earlier, one thing that we need to stop doing is expecting alumni to engage on our terms. For years, we designed programs around our calendars and around our campus's calendars, and we just hoped that alumni would show up. But today's alumni just don't. They have different behaviors, different life stages, and different ways that they want to stay connected. They're busy, just like we all are. One philosophy that's really shaped our team and the work that we do in our Alumni Association is explore, prepare, and network when it's right for you. So we want to provide lifetime resources and opportunities that our alumni can access anywhere, when they're ready, when the time is right for them, whether that's right after graduation or that's 30 years later. So some of our alumni are looking for career resources, and we've got our Connect UT platform for that. We've got lots of other resources. Others want to travel. We've got a great tour and travel program that's robust, and we're starting to expand our offerings. It's not just huge $5,000 per person trips. We're starting to do a lot more localized and regional programs that have maybe a smaller ticket base for some of our younger alumni. Looking at volunteer opportunities and ways that our alumni can stay informed. For us, every path is valuable, and we're really taking notice of that.
All right, before I turn it over to questions, can each one of you answer this last question? If you had to grade alumni relations as a profession right now, what grade would you give it and why?
I said B plus. So we're all here. We're all committed to learning. This room full of wonderful people proves that. But I think we're always a little bit catching up. We're still, a lot of us, in the transition from moving away from transaction to relationship building and value building. But we do it and we love it and we love our people and we're committed to the process. So we're getting there. We're doing our best. We're doing everything we can to keep moving. We just don't move fast and break stuff in higher ed. So we'll get there.
I can't really say it better than she did. I gave us a B plus too. I think we're changing for the better. I think we're more strategic. I think we're more data driven. I think all of those are good things. More relationship focused, obviously, but we're still competing for attention. And I don't know that we're always doing a great job of really defining and refining why we deserve their attention. I guess what gives me confidence is that I think we're asking better questions than we were 5 years ago. Instead of asking, how do we get more people to attend, we're asking, how do we create lifelong advocates for our institutions? So I think we're still in pretty good shape and we're getting better.
I guess I'm the only person who thought that we were only an average B and not a B plus. So womp womp. I think that alumni relations, you're right, has become so much more strategic. We're really embracing data more and new technology. You know, in my role with the UT system, we serve nearly 500,000 alumni, and we've only got a team of 5 people. So it teaches us really quickly that being successful isn't about doing more. It's about focusing on what creates the greatest impact for us. I think we still have a lot of room to grow. We need to keep listening to our alumni. We need to keep challenging the way that we have always done things, and that's very hard for us. And being willing to evolve. I think if we do that, then we have a really great future.
Great. All right. I'm going to turn it over to any questions from the audience. I'm told that you do need to ask your question into a mic so it gets in the recording. So I'll run to you. Anyone? We covered it all? Oh.
Lisa, I'm really interested in the 10 to 12 personas that you're developing. Can you talk a little bit more about, I guess, how you're using that information, how you're determining per event, what messaging needs to be crafted per persona, and just what that looks like, what those next steps are, so it's not just a dusty binder that sits there after they're done.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm hoping there's going to be lots of uses for them. We are really early in this project. And data is a challenge for us, as it is with lots of people. So being able to pull all of it is I think just pulling those 10 data sets is going to take a while. But, you know, I'm marketing communications. I want to make sure we're able to take those personas and bucket the right people in them and start communicating in, you know, small batches about the things that they want to hear. I'm hoping it's going to help us sort of, I guess, hone our social media messaging too. I mean, right now we are throwing pasta at the wall and hoping that it sticks. You know, we have figured out, so funny that you mentioned asking questions on social media. We do reels probably 3 times a week on our Instagram account, and some of them hit like gangbusters and then some don't. And there's no thread that connects the ones that are great and what aren't. For a while, I thought it was just, oh, we picked the right trending audio. But I looked at them really closely over the weekend, And the ones that did really, really well have a question mark in them. So I think with Instagram, we've discovered that, you need to ask questions. But getting back to personas, I think we'll be able to, instead of just, manipulate the algorithm, we'll be able to craft messaging on social that means more to the personas that we know we have at Arkansas. So I'm mostly looking at it from a marketing and communication standpoint, but I'm sure they're going to be, there's going to be applications for development, hopefully for member experience and how we meet people where they are.
I'm coming, Ryan.
Sorry, I didn't make you want to run. Bouncing off of that, and if it's okay, I had three quick show of hand questions for the group that's going to lead into something that may into it, because it made me think about when we were talking about engagement scores and personas. So for all the beautiful humans in this room, how many of us do use personas, give or take? Meaning you're using it on a day-to-day basis, or like you have formally created some kind of persona, whether it's like for marketing engagement. It's also giving me a prompt of like, who can I go like chat with? Okay. With those, it could be anyone in the room, how many of you use a like volunteer management platform and or using like an engagement score to kind of help identify who you're reaching out to the most? Okay. In that same realm, what are some like success stories, either from our three wonderful panelists or from the group, success stories that using any of that data, whether it's the volunteer platform, engagement scores, personas, where you have been able to see a very concrete success, whether that's creation of a new network, new platform, program, whatever the case may be. For us, I'm trying to get in a better habit of, we do segment really well across all the populations, but trying to narrow it down and where are we getting those really good outcomes and impact out of it versus saying, like, yeah, we do segment, we do give them cater messaging, but what's that after? What's that next step that's really showing it's been worth the time, the value, the implementation of a new software sub. So I'm just curious of any success stories or hard truths that maybe allowed you to stop doing something that wasn't necessary. Sorry, long question.
We did a successful segmenting of a graduation promotion when we I guess you can see one of our promotional items was a diploma frame back there. And how we approached it was kind of targeting our new grads, targeting our kind of like our parents with like a gift message saying like, oh, hey, you should basically like, here's a graduation diploma frame, gift your new grad or the new grad in your life a diploma frame. Perfect for them. And then another one, and we kind of segmented that to a specific age. And then the next one was the people, the ages about like 10 to 15 years after these people have graduated, the millennials, if you will. And that messaging for those emails was, is your diploma still in the same cardboard box that it came in? Anyone in particular? Yeah, no one. And then I looked at my coworker in my office, and it kind of was. So that email went out to that particular group, and it worked. Half of the new members that came in during that promotion were the gifted ones, and half were the millennials. And the people who I literally talked to on the phone said, yeah, I bought this specifically because of that messaging. And the previous year, we had less than 20 of the frames sold. But the next year or that year, it was close to 100. And again, half and half. And it was strictly because of that messaging. And it was not something that we had thought of before of segmenting it. Normally when we A/B test these types of things, it's just with, button text, but it's usually the same exact language. It's just the different button text. So.
So I have a collaborative experience that we did with our foundation team. So essentially, we were doing a campaign tour across Texas. And so we took our engagement score and broke everyone out based on their engagement level and determined who we wanted to invite to each different event in the area of Texas that we were going to. So obviously, we call it a pop score. Our pop fours were all going to the dinner with the president. Our pop threes were going to a social with development officer. And then we did an alumni event, which is kind of similar to the tour that we do, in any city that we go to before a football game or something like that. And what it ended up being, those are our pop ones and twos. They're the lowest engaged, lowest giving. So they had good success by targeting the messaging and the type of invitation that they gave. So you had a higher level invitation for the people going to the president's dinner, a different one for the social. And then we did our usual alumni, let's have fun, to the pop ones and twos. The most successful event was our pop ones and twos. And our pop ones and twos are the people that we usually don't get to respond to anything. And now our foundation office is trying to figure out what we're doing better than them to be successful at the event. But we're not, obviously the people who are being invited to the higher level events know they're going to be asked for money. And we were able to pull people from the state of Texas that had not either come back to campus or come to any club events in Texas at the time to this one event. And it was very much about figuring out who it was, where we wanted to bring them, and then how we were going to create that experience for them to encourage them to come.
I have an example that uses, so we implemented at the University of North Texas a mean green score, which is the case metric. And we have been developing it over the last year. And we actually launched the North Texas Network, which is our alumni platform. And the way that we invited people onto that platform was based on an engagement score, because with those platforms, you want to have engagement on it, not just invite everybody. And so we're trying to be really strategic. And so we phase it out, and we've been inviting like 1,500 to 2,000 people based on their engagement score, or maybe partnering with a college. So we're inviting the College of Information with engagement scores of 3, 4, and 5s. So they've been trying to strategically use the score so that we can actually get people on the platform that are going to be active and not just log on, make an account, and then we never see them again. So that's been a fun way. We've also been pulling lists for our Texas events around DFW. So if we send like postcards, we only send to certain 3, 4, and 5s, because they're more likely to come, and postage is not cheap. So, and it's been interesting because we just had like an update of those numbers after the first year, and quite a few people moved into upper rating. It's a work in progress, of course, there's some numbers that maybe tweaked too much. But yeah, so the platform engagement specifically has been really handy with the metric score.
Anyone else want to share or a question?
Hey, I'm Kinley with the University of South Carolina. So I love that we're looking at membership as not, a transactional experience, but as, intentional. I don't have much of a marketing background, but looking at it from a membership lens, and then also having some of my hand in the travel program, I've learned and kind of saw that when we steward our example travelers with handwritten cards and giving them a phone call, asking them how they enjoyed their trip, or, if they have anything they're looking forward to coming up, that their engagement and return post travel has been really positive and engaging. So I'd love to kind of hear experiences or different ways that different universities or have kind of implemented the stewardship piece post engagement or like post event when they've gotten them through the door, when that communication piece has been segmented out and they've gotten them there. You know, what are those kind of like those home remedy stewardship pieces that are kind of bringing them back? And if you've had good experiences with that, I'd love to hear.
We do a lot of that with our tour and travel program specifically. I had the privilege of hosting one of our trips to Iceland last February. And what we do with all of our tour hosts for trips where we have a host, we pack thank you notes that they leave on alumni's doors, whether it's a cruise ship or whether it's they're sliding them under hotel doors, thanking them for coming on the trip toward the end of the trip. We also send a personalized gift to them about, typically it's the country of the trip. I think for Iceland, we did watercolor prints of several of the different landmarks that we saw. And we sent them little kits with those afterward. And I hand wrote thank you notes to all of them. We encourage all of our tour hosts to do the same. But it's all about like finding those small intentional ways to say thank you. Our assistant follows up with every single traveler, whether they had a host on their program or not. She makes phone calls and does like a phone survey with them after every single trip. And then we track all of that information to see how we can apply it to future trips. And we've noticed the same thing, like our retention of people that take one trip tend to come back. And we have a lot of repeat travelers that'll even do multiple trips in 1 year because of a lot of that.
Something that came out of a collaboration, we have at CU Boulder student send-off events. So say we'll go to a major market like Boston, New York City. So students that are all from there that are going to go to CU Boulder, the Alumni Association started going. And not only are we answering questions about student life, but we're inviting all those who attend to be a part of our mentorship program called Forever Buff Guides. So those students are already there at the event. We know that they're excited. So we found an opportunity for them to continue to stay engaged and connect with alumni specifically. So they'll connect with an alumni virtually, specifically recent alumni. So maybe people who don't normally see themselves as mentors yet. So we're calling them guides. We're not quite using that mentor word yet, but they're meeting twice in the fall semester. So 2 weeks before school starts and then around family weekend. And those introductions have been really, really helpful. We've rolled it out to our first generation and our transfer students. So that's a way for us to know, okay, they went to an event, they're excited. How can we get them to engage more meaningfully? And oftentimes mentorship has been the answer.
Anyone else want to answer that question, Ryan's question, ask a different question?
Thanks, y'all. Alex from North Florida, if I haven't met you yet. Melissa, I think you touched on this a little bit earlier, and I think Lucy and Sarah, you guys mentioned it a bit, but at UNF, our engagement metrics are looking great. Like we're hitting highs in social media, email, free networking events, mentorship, everything like that. But when it comes to opening up the wallet for like a paid event or giving or something like that, I don't know if our base is just a little thrifty with the economy right now, but we are not seeing that growth. Have y'all, I guess, first off, A, run into the problem, or is this a Floridian thing maybe? And B, if you have you found ways to combat it, whether it's, I think you might mention like demonstrating the value of what they're participating in or finding ways to get sponsorships to save the costs or something like that?
We do have trouble getting people to attend events. In fact, we hosted an alumni leader summit. So these are our engaged alumni running chapters and societies, and invited them back to campus. Didn't cost them anything. We fed them, took them on tours of places, but we had to make individual phone calls to get people to come. I think we're back to that. We're in an attention economy, and maybe summer's not the right time for them. I don't know if the questions have even been asked, like, when do you want to come to campus? I know we used to do this event on a football game weekend, but then they didn't come to any of the stuff that we did because they just wanted to go kind of experience the football weekend. And maybe that's what we need to be doing. And then, I don't think you're alone in that. I think it's just fighting for attention. And really, I'm hoping these personas are going to tell us more about what our alumni want to do, whether I can bucket them for communication or not. If I just know more about who we're dealing with and what they really care about, we can create events around that.
I don't have anything profound to add except to say that you're not alone, first of all. And it always surprises me what people will and won't pay for. The same thing that went well the year before won't go well this year. And I think exactly to your point, it's about things out of our control, exactly when the email lands and exactly what messaging. So anything you can do with that optimization of when emails land, A/B testing your content, and learning from the things that are not performing well a couple years in a row. You can tell if people exactly what their $10 registration is going to get them, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And then they'll shell out $45 to come do cat yoga with you for no reason, and it does nothing for nobody except that cats and yoga is super fun. So we're all throwing pasta at walls here trying to make it work, but you're not alone in that for sure.
And I would say it'd be really helpful if we all had people above us with backbones who could tell people who continue to do the same things over and over again that are not working to stop and try something else.
That's a great way to end it, I think. Well, as I mentioned before, feel free to find any of our panelists or anybody that you heard from that you want to expand upon the conversations. We have the next couple of days together, so feel free to do that. Before we wrap up, please join me in thanking Sarah, Lisi, and Melissa. Here's a little gift for you. Yeah, pull out the corn guy. Isn't that cute? Thanks, Nebraska. And so this includes the session. So next up, we're going to be taking a shuttle to the WIC Alumni Center for dinner, which the shuttle is sponsored by Sports and Entertainment Travel. So thank you to them. And the shuttle is going to take us to dinner, which is sponsored by Publishing Concepts and Tuderberg. So the last shuttle, shuttles will start at 5:15. You're going to either go out this door or go out here and down the steps, but it's going to be right outside this way, Ethan tells me. The last shuttle leaves at 5:30, so make sure you get on that shuttle. And we are not going back to the hotel before these next couple of things. So if you have a larger bag that you need to store somewhere when we get to either the WIC or later at the museum, just find a Nebraska staff member. Thank you all so much.